Everyone, welcome to our Honest Game webinar on NCAA eligibility. My name is Ricky Stark. I'm with Honest Game, hopefully, obviously. For any of my NFC North Big Ten fans that are in the meeting, for better or for worse, don't hold it against me. Welcome. I am going to hand it over to Courtney Sakalaris, who is on our team. She is a former athletic administrator of 15 years who actually used Honest Game at her former high school, and she's going to walk you through some of our best practices. If you have any questions at all, please put them in the chat. I will be monitoring them, and I promise as you're putting them in, we'll get to them. We might wait till the end just if I know that we're going to end up hitting on it, but I'll make sure we're still answering those. And then at the end, we'll do a quick 3 to 4 minute walkthrough of the Honest Game platform and open it up for some more Q&A. So thank you all. And Courtney, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Ricky. And thank you everyone for joining us. First of all, welcome. And really important for me as a former athletic director to thank all of you for your commitment to high school athletics and the student athletes that you support every single day. It has been a difficult few years in our space, and your dedication and commitment is important as we continue to move forward and serve our students as best we can. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully everyone can see our screen. We are going to walk through best practices for NCAA eligibility, and we are going to share a little bit about what we do here at Honest Game. Who are we and what do we do? We are a company that is made up of former counselors, coaches, athletic directors, and senior college compliance administrators. We are here to simplify academic eligibility. Our software takes the guesswork out of those complex NCAA and NAIA requirements for college sports while getting school departments, students, and families on the same page. As Ricky mentioned, as we walk through the slides, if a question pops to your mind, please feel free to type it in the chat and we will get those answered for you. Why academic eligibility matters. 30 to 50% of schools across the United States are either unaccredited or lapsed within the NCAA Eligibility Center. Academic eligibility is required for college, obviously, but also required specifically for scholarships, competition, practice, rosters, and admission. We know that NCAA academic eligibility can be complex, it's ever-changing, it's confusing at some point to our staff inside our schools, to our families, to our athletes, and it is all-encompassing. Those core courses, core GPA, core classes, and then those test scores all make up that NCAA eligibility. So just a little overview, high level view here, just a quick refresher. This is probably common knowledge for most everyone on our presentation today, but it's always good to walk through what this looks like. So what does the NCAA use for eligibility? They're using a combination of student athletes' SAT and ACT scores, their high school coursework, and their GPA as calculated using NCAA core courses. Currently in Division I, there's a minimum of a 2.3 NCAA core GPA and 980 SAT or 75 ACT sum score. In the Division II space, there is a minimum 2.2 GPA with a 920 SAT or 70 ACT sum score in order to be eligible. In that Division III space, there are no core course requirements, but must meet admission standards for that particular institution with full eligibility in accordance with NCAA academic requirements. There is also COVID waivers currently applied to graduating 2022 seniors, and those are part of that ever-changing legislation within the NCAA. NCAA Division I qualifier plans consist of making sure that that is something student athletes are starting their freshman year. Every semester counts, including summer school and virtual school. Students also need to always be registered as early as they can with the NCAA Eligibility Center, continuing to submit test scores and transcripts, and completing their amateurism survey. What are those requirements broken down into? 16 core courses or 32 semesters of NCAA approved classes. 10 of those or 20 semesters must begin before the start of your senior year. Not every core course is NCAA approved. We'll talk about this a little bit later in the presentation, but making sure that those classes are on your NCAA EC portal and that they are approved. 4 years of English equals 8 NCAA English semesters. Earning a minimum of a 2.3 GPA in NCAA core courses with matching SAT and ACT on the sliding scale. Again, starting that 10 NCAA courses, which we call the 10-7 rule, before the start of senior year, 7 of those must be courses in English, math, or science. SAT, ACT scores, those minimums must be met on the sliding scale. After students graduate, that is when NCAA will issue qualifying status for students in Division I and II. A little bit about the NCAA portal and what that is. This view might look familiar to most of you, but each school has an NCAA account, and it is upon the school. It's the school's responsibility to keep that list updated. The NCAA reviews of courses results in approved for NCAA credit, denied for NCAA credit, or requiring further documentation. Only courses that appear on a high school's list of NCAA core courses will count towards a student athlete's core courses inside your building. We think it's important for really to get to know those internal contacts in your school that manage the portal and communicate with them often. Communication with head coaches as an athletic director in regards to eligibility, some good times to sort of walk through this with your coaches. Head coach evaluations are a perfect time to get to know a little bit more about those student athletes that have expressed interest to your coach about college athletics. Outlining a plan and encouraging head coaches to share information across all platforms can help student athletes with respect to NCAA and NAIA eligibility and plans for college athletics. We always think the more people that know, the more people in the space that are there to help. Sharing Honest Game as a tool that's available to all of your student athletes can provide an equal playing field for not just your high achieving student athletes or teams, but every student athlete that is part of your athletic program. Communication with counselors. Most high schools have 1 or 2 counselors who are extremely versed in this area, and then some counselors who are new or just learning what this might mean. So finding out who that eligibility portal contact is this person up to speed? Do they need assistance? How can they help, or how can you help keep those courses up to date and accredited with the NCAA? Approving courses taken in summer school or in credit recovery are approved in the NCAA Center portal, and making sure that in the past 2 years, if there are some new virtual opportunities that students are using, how does that tie to NCAA? Submitting fee waivers, the portal for the student registrations when applicable. Remember, if a student qualifies for an ACT or SAT fee waiver, they qualify for a registration fee waiver with the Eligibility Center and in the NAIA Eligibility Center. Finding that a contact who uploads official transcripts during recruiting processes and after graduation. So that final transcript must be sent to the NCAA, proving graduation and then resulting in a eligibility status for that student athlete. This screen also might look a little bit familiar to you, what those student centers look like, both NCAA Eligibility Center and the NAIA Eligibility Center, just making sure that athletes and families know what this looks like and being familiar yourself with how to walk through the basics of this process. Student and athlete and family support. How do we help our student athletes and their families make a plan? This can be different for each family, different for each student, but using free resources to help educate. We have an outstanding blog on our website. We also have a chat bot, Cleo the counselor, and our support system here for questions and solutions as needed. Getting to know the NCAA Eligibility Center's resources. Both spaces have a lot of those questions that a family may answer are right there and available, and more research you might do, you're going to feel more comfortable. Understanding special circumstances and what to do. Being aware of problems that can arise that involve a student getting enrolled in summer school, potential reclassification, repeat courses, or how to deal with virtual classes. Avoiding courses that result in derailing a student's athlete's eligibility. So a little bit back to that portal. Some of those Englishes or maths that are available to seniors sometimes do not apply and are not going to be approved by the NCAA. So kind of getting a feel for that in your school and how you can reach out to your counselors to be aware is very helpful. Communicating with families about academic eligibility. Sharing resources and information to keep families and student athletes informed and on track. Key stakeholders in your district will know that you have a foundation for student athletes to continue their athletic and academic goals. So taking all these steps show that you are knowledgeable, you know academics are needed, it is important, it's a huge piece of the puzzle. Recruiting. Honest Game uses academic information to help students in this part of their recruiting process. No part of Honest Game is a recruiting service, but there is an academic component to all recruiting. So just a quote from a former Division I coach talks a little bit about what academic eligibility means. Academic eligibility is the doorway to athletic success at the college level. What many don't realize is that academic excellence can open doors that athletic ability alone cannot. We focus on honing skills needed for athletic success, getting in front of college coaches and getting big wins, when the reality is that academic success widens the pathway forward for an athlete, or if neglected, can narrow or eliminate those options altogether. A little bit about recruiting that is important for athletic directors to stay kind of in front of is knowing your NLI regulations inside your state. So checking with both your high school athletic association and your college compliance office, recruiting your student to assure they are following the ever-changing name, image, and likeness legislation. One misstep and it could cost your student a year or more of eligibility. Being prepared for those academic conversations. Leverage your students' academics in the recruiting conversation. We just saw that quote from that college coach. It's important for the college coaches to know, academically eligible recruits can rise to the top of a pile of high schoolers very fast. If a college coach asks for a student transcript, you can attach your Honest Game compliance academic eligibility report with it to increase that student's chances of receiving an offer. Knowing that recruiting calendar, staying current with recruiting calendar dates and changes at the Division I and II recruiting calendars. We've included that link in there for you, just so you sort of know when students are asking questions about live periods, dead periods, and what that looks like. What we do at Honest Game. What we do in regards to NCAA course audit and portal maintenance is we ensure school portal maintenance information is updated. We also perform a course audit, which will review for, are all of your core courses officially NCAA approved? Portal should both list regular versions and AP honors courses. Is your grade scale updated and weighted? Are your credit recovery or summer school options properly listed for credit? If you have a virtual learning opportunity in your district, is that curriculum approved? Courses requiring additional documentation, do those need to be submitted? Have you missed your window? Do you need to reapply? What we do in regards to NCAA qualifier status, we help you automate that process, instant individual plans for students. This continues to mitigate risks of students falling through the cracks, falling through requirements, not knowing what they may need until the last minute. We believe our platform drives learning outcomes and educates on the best fit opportunity for all students, regardless of their athletic ability. Obviously, all of your student data is secure and private inside our app. What we think about our plan and when we share it with schools is that it brings some unification across the platform for that student athlete. It includes the counselor, athletic director, coach, and family. Everyone sort of has the plan. They know what's happening for the student, and they can all provide those different resources or area of expertise that they have to help that student move forward. We are your in-house academic eligibility experts. We are here and we created this tool to save school staff time, to improve student academic eligibility outcomes. We are the industry-leading academic compliance platform for high schools right now. We manage student rosters with our dashboard. We are here to support athletic administrators, counselors, and coaches with educational content on recruiting and eligibility. And we assist, most importantly, with NCAA portal management. We're trusted by a number of different associations across the US, and we are currently in a number of schools. This is just to name a few up here. You might see a logo that looks familiar to you for a school that's close by. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I've included my contact information there along with Ricky Stark. We love to hear feedback. We love to be able to support you. Send us a note, throw any questions in the chat, and we will be sharing this presentation after today's webinar.
So Courtney, does it seem likely that the SAT or ACT scores will no longer be used in determining eligibility?
Courtney Ricard is also here with us. She is a former NCAA senior athletic administrator for over 20 years at NCAA Division I institutions. So I'm going to pass that to her.
Okay, so currently right now, the waiver for SAT and ACT scores does not go past next year. In the next 2 months is going to be a really big time in college athletics, as the Committee on Academics will be meeting to look at initial eligibility and whether ACT or SAT scores should be part of that crazy metrics that they're currently using. And so right now, the determination has not gone past next year. So for the seniors that you're working with right now, the high school seniors, they do not need a test score, but anyone younger really does. And so what we've been telling students, and as you can see on our reports, we have a waiver piece right there where students can read that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the college that the student is applying to has also waived test scores. So right now, our answer is it seems kind of likely they're going to have to come out with something, but they have not made a determination about whether they'll use SAT or ACT scores moving forward. And that students should really look at the college they're applying to because they may need a test score to be accepted.
Thanks, Court. When would we know if classes are approved once updated? So the time frame to get an email from the NCAA saying approved or need more info on a course.
So essentially, when you're inside your portal as a high school administrator or who is in charge of your portal at a school, you can submit classes or update classes. The NCAA has a time frame that is sometimes instantaneous, and sometimes it can be, a few days following that. When they do ask for review, if a class is RCA'd for documentation, you do as a school have a time frame to submit that documentation before you need to resubmit the class. So in theory, we like to say that it's mostly, in most cases, between 1 and 3 days that they send you back an email with your updated course list, and then you can go back in the portal and double check.
Awesome, thank you. Next question. Is there a conversion table for schools that have a DP IB curriculum and does not have a letter grade calculation for 11th, 12th grade years? Also, are IB courses included in NCAA approved lists?
That's a really good question. Are we giving bonus points, Ricky, for asking a super in-depth, awesome question? So schools have the right to be able to put their grading scale on their Eligibility Center portal, as well as any additional weights. So if you give IB or AP or honors courses at your high school, you can delineate those on the Eligibility Center portal. So we work with numerous high schools across the country, and as we've noticed, it really helps the student athletes if those are indicated on your Eligibility Center portal specifically. So not just, calculus, IB calculus. And then that way those weights will be included if you have those on the portal. If you do not tell the NCAA that we're teaching these IB classes, or in the 11th grade, there's not letter grades, they won't capture that for those students. So the more communication you can give, the better. Ideally, the Eligibility Center for your high school will have a separate grade notation, as well as IB, AP, and honors courses. So definitely work with the Eligibility Center contact from your high school to do so. And Honest Game can also be of assistance if you need help with that.
Thanks, Court. The other question was if we could talk a bit about how we handle reclassification or transfers.
So transfers, if you are a school that is using the Honest Game platform, when we collect information, it comes inside of our space. If a student is a transfer student, it is notated in their classes that they have completed at your school with a code. We are then able to request the transcripts from previous school or schools, because then their eligibility plan will include the SEEP codes where those classes were taken and what has been approved at that high school. I think that answered that question.
Couple more. Does our eligibility reports get sent to a college compliance officer or coach to update their NCAA eligibility reports, or how do we sync those?
So go ahead, Court.
So having worked in the compliance world for 20 plus years, it would be ideal if your high school students are sending their compliance report to the college that's recruiting them. It's a one-stop shop. It takes all the guesswork for that compliance person who's probably currently doing it with pen and paper. And so that's definitely helpful. When a report is completed, The people that are notified would be the parent and the student. Obviously, it's a high school as well, but they can add connections in their portal. So if they have a coach that's recruiting them and they want that coach to be notified when a new report is ready to be done, the student can do that. And so definitely having the high school athletic directors on this call today is great, because you're really that avenue to them, and equipping your recruits and their families with a report for eligibility like this would be so helpful for those college compliance officers. Daily they're inundated with transcripts from their coaches, trying to figure out who to recruit. And this will definitely make your high school students rise to the top of that pile of potential eligible students with great athletics. This makes them go right to the top.
Awesome questions. One other note that I wanted to add. Again, I put the email in here for any, just even if it's a random one-off, please don't feel like you have to reach out to us if and only you want to move forward and partner with Honest Game. If there's anything we can help with or clarity we can provide on any topics, that's what we're here for. The sales@honestgame.com is the email you can reach out to. Again, just some added transparency, the cost of the platform, it really kind of varies. It's in the $3 to $5 a student athlete range. And the reason I say it ranges is because some schools provide Honest Game to all of their students. Some just do it for their student athletes. It is a conversation that we have based on the school or the district. So there's a few identifiers that we would have should there be interested that we could talk through just to figure out what's the best fit for your school or your district or how you wanted to handle implementation. But it is based on enrollment of your school. So we try to be very intentional about aligning our cost with frankly what's doable for your school. We are a public benefit corp, so affordability, access, equity is what drives us every single day. So it's important to us. I'm just going to double check, make sure there are no other questions. There are not. I am just going to put it in one more time for any of you that might have missed it. sales@honestgame.com, or you can check out our website at honestgame.com. Thank you for everyone joining. For any of you that joined late, I don't think too many people dropped off from my Packer Michigan State stuff behind me, so it must have worked. Courtney's laughing because she knows she's a fan deep down at heart. Thank you so much. This was fun. This was awesome. Hope you all have a amazing rest of your week. And if you're not in Minnesota, I hope you're warm wherever you're at. So thank you.